Hey there, it's going to be an exciting day today because we are flying out to Orlando, Florida tonight for a Disney cruise. We're going to be spending our vacation on the cruise, 3-day trip to the Bahamas and back. And then once we get back to Orlando, we're also going to stop by Disney World since we're already there and explore all the different parks. It's going to be our first time on a Disney cruise as well as visiting Disney World. So it's going to be a really exciting time for us, especially because we'll have a Disney-filled vacation. So stick around and I hope you enjoy the video. We were assigned to the Tinkerbell group, which determined when we were able to board the shuttle. The shuttle itself was, of course, Disney Cruise themed, and we immediately took a nap since it would take around 1 hour to arrive at the port. At the port, we received a ticket with a boarding group number, which was different than our original boarding group. I'm not sure if you're able to board earlier if you take the shuttle or not, but we were originally boarding group 3 and we were moved up to boarding group 1, which meant we were one of the first ones to board the ship. Since we already checked in for the shuttle, all we had to do was wait for the boarding to begin. Making our way onto the ship, we boarded around 11:30 and we were free to roam around to our heart's content. Since our rooms won't be ready until around 1:30, the very first thing we did was, of course, food. Since we arrived at the airport around 6 in the morning, we were starving and sleep deprived. After walking around for a bit and checking out the ship, we made our way to deck 11. This deck was the most important deck you should remember because this was where the quick service area called Mickey and Friends Festival of Food was located. We grabbed some food at the very first stall we saw, which was Mickey's Smokestack Barbecue. There were other stalls, of course, for Mexican food, burgers, hot dogs, pizza, and of course, ice cream. We got some ribs, brisket, collard greens, and coleslaw to start off our first lunch. Because we had another place we wanted to visit, we wanted to start out light for this first meal. The ribs were great, it was seasoned well and fell off the bones, but the brisket was definitely the best. It was tender, soft, and full of juices. The brisket was my favorite and I would definitely recommend trying it even if you're not a big fan of barbecue. After finishing the barbecue, we walked around and finally found the place that we were looking for, Marceline Market. This is a buffet-style restaurant on the ship, which is open for breakfast and lunch every day of the cruise. Marceline Market was just on the other end of the deck, but because we were sleep deprived, it took us a while to find it. I didn't get much footage given how crowded it was, but we saw some reviews recommending to go here first, especially for the crab legs. There was a wide variety of food here from steaks, chicken tikka masala, dumplings, pasta, and a wide range of desserts. Now that we got some food, our rooms were ready. We had a room with a veranda and honestly it was a lot bigger than I was expecting, and the toilet and shower was separated as well, which is pretty good. One thing I want to highlight when you get to your room for the very first time is try to remember which side of the ship is located, whether it's near the front or the back, the right or the left. Because if you're walking down the hallways, it can look pretty much about the same regardless of where you are on the ship. So keep that in mind. Also keep an eye out for some hidden Mickeys near your feet while you're walking to your room because they can guide you to your room and also kind of show you whether you're going towards the front of the ship or the back of the ship. We finally had a chance to put down our stuff and put up our cruise magnets. It was really cool seeing the different magnets that other rooms had and also how unique they can get, especially because this is our first time actually using these kind of magnets. With our stuff down, we finally went to check out the kids area, and since this was the very first day, all of the areas had an open house, which allowed all of the passengers to check out as much of the ship as they wanted to. There was a Star Wars section, Beauty and the Beast area, and a small Frozen area as well. Our inner child definitely loved it, even though we couldn't enjoy it ourselves. What I didn't get to film was the gym and the spa area. The gym itself was definitely quite big, with a lot of treadmills and a lot of other machines for anyone to do their workouts. We told ourselves to use the gym, but we never actually got to because of how many activities there were throughout the day. The spa area was definitely the place to go to get away from the bigger crowds, but of course, the spa was not included and you do have to pay extra depending on what kind of package you want to get. So whether you want a massage or you want to check out a more exclusive area called the Rainforest. The Rainforest was more of a relaxation area with a sauna, an ice room, and some heated stone loungers, which was the perfect spot to take a nap, which is what we did. There was also a little outdoor area in the Rainforest with a jacuzzi and also some lounge chairs outside as well, so you could take in some sun or just get another nap in. If you are looking for more of a relaxing cruise vacation, the Rainforest might be up for consideration, especially because you can get away from the bigger crowds. There was a mandatory emergency drill at 3:30, so until then, we had some time to keep exploring the ship. After the drill, we saw our very first show to mark the very beginning of our vacation. Some time has passed and now we're heading to our very first dinner at Arendelle. If the name doesn't sound familiar, this is a restaurant themed after the movie Frozen. One thing that caught us off guard was that we didn't know ahead of time that we would be seated with two other groups at our table. Now, being seated with other groups unexpectedly may seem like a good or bad experience depending on you. For us, the other groups were really friendly and they also lived in Florida, so we were also able to talk about going to Disney World and get some of their recommendations since we were going to Disney World after the cruise for the very first time. Back to Arendelle, we were greeted with a show that happened throughout the time you were at the restaurant. For the appetizers, I got Blushing Oaken's chilled white and green asparagus and Elsa's royal baked scallops. Yes, this is a scallop dish that will look more like a soup. For the scallops, breaking down the puff pastry, you'll be greeted with a nice creamy scallop dish. The puff pastry itself was nice and buttery and paired very well with the creamy scallops. This dish was the most popular and I would definitely recommend it. It did only come with 2 scallops on the smaller side, but because this is a cruise, you could order more if you want to, or try out some other appetizers as well. Now onto the main course where I got the garlic and thyme roasted beef ribeye. Cooked to a nice medium rare, the ribeye hits all the spots and was perfectly seasoned. Finally, for desserts, we got the cheesecake from their 4th of July menu, as well as the Troll family's rock chocolate bar. The cheesecake itself was nice and creamy, very light and not too sweet. Sometimes you get a cheesecake that's very thick, and that could be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're just finishing off dinner. The chocolate bar itself was definitely a highlight of the night, being more of a dark chocolate cake than a chocolate bar. Because it uses dark chocolate, it wasn't too sweet, but paired with the cheesecake, it had a nice balance of light and sweet versus dark and sweet. Since the dark chocolate cake wasn't too sweet by itself, pairing that up with the cheesecake made for a really nice combination for dessert. And as I alluded to, because our cruise started on 4th of July, we were of course welcomed with a fireworks display. We were almost disappointed because on that night it was also raining and there was a thunderstorm going on. But thanks to our ship captain, they were able to steer away from the rain, get some clear skies, and finally set off the fireworks. On day 2, we arrived at Nassau, Bahamas. We got breakfast at Marceline Market, and of course, we had to get the Mickey waffles. We got some after breakfast dessert at Inside Out Joyful Sweets. Everything in here does cost extra, but if you're looking for something sweet that's not just ice cream throughout the day, it might be worth checking out. There's a mix of gelato, cookies, cakes, and cupcakes to fulfill everyone's sweet cravings. After dessert, we got some pictures with the Disney characters, went on the Aqua Mouse, a water ride where we were greeted with a nice Mickey and Minnie animation before being sent off, sliding around the ship and getting a nice aerial view. Since I didn't have a strap for my camera, I wasn't able to get any footage of the ride, and wait times can get up to 30 minutes, but you should definitely not skip Aqua Mouse unless you have a good reason to. 1923, a restaurant located on Deck 3. Themed to showcase our work from the golden era of Disney classics like Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Peter Pan, and much more. I got a pasta dish with grilled chicken, and the chicken was cooked beautifully. The pasta was cooked to a nice al dente, ensuring each bite has a nice chew paired with the tomato-based sauce. After lunch, we disembarked to take a stroll around Nassau Port. Once we got off, we saw Blackbeard's Revenge pirate ship, which gives a pirate-themed tour around Nassau. We also spent some time walking around the local shops around the port. Since we didn't have any plans, we spent the time just getting a nice walk off of the ship, stretching our legs, and checking out some of the cool stores that was around us before finally heading back to the ship. Now that we're back on the ship, we ended up at the kids and teens area that had a giant inflatable Incredibles course, along with some ping pong tables and air hockey. After relaxing some more, we went back to our rooms to prepare for dinner because tonight we had a special reservation at one of the adult exclusive restaurants. Located on Deck 12, we first went through the rooms, a nightclub and lounge overlooking the left side of the ship. Past the rows, you can find two restaurants such as Palo Steakhouse and the restaurant that we'll be eating at, Enchante. Inspired by Beauty and the Beast, Enchante has a menu crafted by 3 Michelin star chef, and excuse my pronunciation, Arendelle Dinner. The menu consisted of 3 prix-fixe courses along with a la carte options. We decided to go all out for this and got the collection. Priced at a whopping $215, this was a 9-course option that also featured dishes that got the chef their first Michelin star. These bandanas were available to us earlier in our rooms, and waiting for us on Deck 11 was a pirate-themed show, along with the second fireworks show. Before ending the night, we went to check out the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge and ordered the recommended Batu Spire Sunset cocktail. The cocktail has a mild lychee flavor and tasted perfect and wasn't too sweet. Even if you're not a big Star Wars fan like me, this lounge is one of the more atmospheric lounges on the ship and definitely worth checking out. On the final day, we arrived at Castaway Cay. The very first thing we did was disembark as early as possible, around 8:30 a.m., so that we can do the unofficial 5K. Yes, this is a very unofficial 5K that you can walk, run, or bike, depending on what you're feeling. You do not have to check in with any of the cast members. All you have to do is go to the starting line, start the 5K yourself. When you finish the 5K, you'll end up at the bike rental section again, and then you'll just let a cast member know that you completed it in order to receive the 5K medal, like this one. Since this was the last day, I wanted to grab some more barbecue from Mickey's Smokestack. This time I got the mac and cheese as well as the pulled pork. Everything was delicious. Definitely cannot go wrong with this place. Lunch is also provided in Castaway Cay, which we'll show in just a bit. Heading back outside, we hopped on the tram to the very first stop to actually take a walk around and take in some sights. Because lunch was about to end, we headed to the lunch area right away to check out what they had. There were a lot of fruits, salads, along with burgers, sausages, and barbecue meats. They also had some desserts like ice cream, brownies, and cookies. Serenity Bay is a beach only for adults 18 and older and is located on the other side of the island. Taking the tram, you will pass the 5K route. There's a lot of beach chairs available and we quickly put our stuff down, went for a dip, and even took a nap. After our nap, we headed over to the other beach areas, checked out the shops, then headed back to the ship to get cleaned up and watch the final Broadway-style show based on Aladdin. The Aladdin show is definitely our favorites, mainly because of the cast members, especially the genie. The cast member playing the genie was definitely the highlight, bringing in jokes that the audience can relate to and just making the show much more enjoyable. With the final show completed, we headed over to our final dinner at Avengers Technology Showcase. Aptly Marvel's themed, rather than a live show, we got a recorded show displayed on the many screens throughout the room. The show itself was entertaining and gives a Marvel movie feel and lasted a little bit longer than I was expecting it to. For the food itself, I got the seared tuna, which tasted fine. The tuna was seasoned well and the seared does add a nice layer of texture. For the dessert, I got the cheesecake, which was a little bit thicker than the one at Arendelle. While there were no fireworks for the last night, we headed over to the main area of Deck 3 to watch the farewell show, the finale to finish off this Disney-filled vacation. Now that I'm back from the cruise and I had some time to think about the time I've had, especially while editing this video, what are my final thoughts of this cruise? Overall, the cruise itself was full of a lot of events and activities. It definitely was an eventful time. There wasn't a moment where we felt bored or we felt like there was nothing to do. Because they had events scheduled throughout the day and activities scheduled throughout the day, it was harder for us, especially since this was our first cruise, to figure out what we wanted to do and prioritize one activity over another. At the end, I think we did a good job of preparing and doing our research of knowing what kind of events there might be, what kind of things we want to see, what things we want to do, especially on the islands. We had a really fun time. Like I said, there wasn't a dull moment. The food itself really differs and depends on what you like to eat what kind of cuisines you like to eat, and really what you're craving. Most of the food that we had was great. There were some misses, especially with some of the restaurants that we ate at, but there's definitely enough options to fulfill everyone's cravings regardless of what they might be. Like I showed, there was a lot of barbecue options. There was also some Mexican cuisine, pizza, ice cream, desserts. The buffet had a lot of different kind of cuisines as well as the restaurants themselves. So there's definitely something for everyone, food-wise, even if you're a vegetarian. If I take all of that into consideration, I think a Disney cruise is definitely worth your time and the money. A Disney cruise will be an amazing time for everyone. The most important thing is make sure you do your research before you get on the cruise. Some of the things that I've talked about might have changed by the time you go on your cruise, or depending on the ship, some of the layouts or activities might be different. So it's always good to do your research ahead of time to get an idea of what it might be like and then plan according to that. That's it for the end of this Disney cruise video. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and also let me know in the comments down below if you're planning a Disney cruise yourself or if you've gone on one already.